All right. So I'm basically just going live. Um, Even though this video is gonna be more so for YouTube, but yeah, I'm just gonna go live and do this video, and then after that, I'm gonna send this video to YouTube, and hopefully everything will go well. I wanted to see how this like turn out, how this video turned out. But I don't know how this video gonna turn out because for some reason, whenever I save it or whatever on my end on my PC, I can't see it. But I know that if I just go ahead and shoot this live now, then I can see it through my phone and I can actually see the whole thing. Hopefully the sound is good, the quality is good or decent. I'm most definitely gonna look into a new mic. So anyway, basically this is something this is a topic that have been happening lately. I think like for like Christian, um whenever I talk to some people, or I always hear like when most people, they be like, yeah, I don't believe, or they're not a believer. Most of the time it's because they had a bad experience in church, or they'd be like, oh, I believe but I don't go to church. And you'd be like, why? It's because, oh, I had a bad, experience at church. But the main reason is most people, either one, they leave Christianity, or two, they won't even believe because they had a bad experience at church. And that right there, like that kind of like throws me off because I'm like, how can you focus your mindset on an experience just because you had a bad experience at church? Like, just go try a different church, you know? Try something different. Go to a different church. Find somewhere where you can have a firm foundation. Just because you had a bad experience at church doesn't mean like he didn't die on the cross for you. But I mean, man, that there are a lot of people that leave Christianity or won't even believe at all just because they had a bad experience at church. And man, I was watching this video, and this video pretty much like, yeah, breaks it down. This guy right here like really breaks it down. So I'm gonna just go into the video right quick. See, can we go to this video right quick? Want to click over here, change over here right quick. This the wrong one. Hold on. This is totally the wrong one. It's like two of them, I think. Yeah, right there. All right, let's check this out right quick. Let's see what he's talking about. If I can get it to play. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus.
Call intellectual doubts or skepticism. And this is when someone basically says, hey, you know what? I'm not sure I believe in Christianity anymore because I'm having some intellectual doubts about some of the things that Christians believe. And this could be in all sorts of different categories. Maybe it's things about the Bible, miracles in the Bible. And you're like, hey, you know what? I'm not so sure if Jonah was really swallowed up by a big fish, or I'm not so sure if the flood in the story of Noah's Ark really did occur. Or it could be deeper, things like, hey, I'm not sure if I could really trust a God who allows so much evil to go on in this world. Either God is not good or he's not in control, right? If he's in control and he allows these things to happen, then that means he's not good. But if he's good and he allows these things to happen, that means he's not in control. So either way, your Christian God is not right. And so these are some of the claims that are making people scratch your head and say, you know what, I'm not sure if Christianity is really true. Well, I have some advice for you, but there's going to be a recurring refrain that you're going to hear me say throughout this video, and I want to see if you catch on to it. But here would be my advice. I want to encourage you, if you are having doubts or you know someone who's having doubts, I want to encourage you to have some conversations with a trained apologist. Notice that phrase, trained apologist. Not some YouTuber who thinks they're an apologist, not your pastor who might have the best intentions, but he might be trained to be a pastor, trained to be a preacher, but he's not trained to know how to navigate and explore the different nuances of some of the most difficult questions that people pose to Christianity in attempts to discredit Christianity, discredit God, Jesus, the Bible, ethics, morality, all sorts of different things. Sit down with someone who is trained in this area so that they can help you navigate your doubts. And by the way, it's okay to have doubts, all right? But just because you have doubts about these types of things, does that mean that Jesus didn't really rise from the dead, right? Just because you doubt that Jonah was swallowed by a fish, does that mean that Jesus didn't rise from the dead? Do you want to jump from that conclusion? The second thing that I'll say to you is that there is an element of the Christian belief that requires faith. What is faith? Faith is trusting in things that we don't understand. And some of you are like, you know what? That's my problem with Christianity right there. Because I can't figure it out, because I can't understand it, and it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to trust it. Well, let me just ask you, do you apply that same logic to other areas? Do you understand exactly how all science works? No, but you trust it. Do you understand how the internet works? How you can press a button and a message gets to somebody across the other side of the world? No, but you trust it. Do you understand exactly what that surgeon is going to do to your body whenever you go into that surgery room? No, but you trust it. Do you understand how to fly a plane and the dynamics or aerodynamics of how a plane takes off? No, but you trust it when you get on that plane. So Christianity is the same way. You're not going to understand every single thing. If you could, you'd be God. Only God understands everything. So there is an element where you have to take certain things by faith. Now, the third reason why people are leaving Christianity, and once again, remember, we're counting down 4, 3, 2, 1, is what I'll call negative experiences with church or religious community, right? Now, notice how I phrase that. There's two groups here. First would be a negative experience with a...
Man, he hit something on the head. A lot of people want to just like logically know everything. Like everybody, especially if you're an intellect, like you would find yourself having a hard time when it come down to Christianity. When it come down to believing in, the Lord. Why you think he's in God? Why you think he is God? Why do you think he's God? Because he knows everything. If we knew everything, like he said, we would be gods. I think that's the problem. Like a lot of people want to know everything. Like they want to know every single detail. But it's crazy though. When it comes to a job though, we don't know everything about the job, but we still go to it. We don't know everything about the phones, but we use them. But man, let's go more into this video.
A church or a church leader. We often term this or coin this as church hurt, right? Hey, I got hurt by a pastor, got hurt by someone, or maybe someone at the church let me down. And as a result, you know what? Hey, I am done. Or it could also be the fact that someone in the church or religious community has offended you or let you down in terms of your expectations. Okay, so let's deal with this for just a moment. So I don't know what your experiences have been with the church, but I can tell you that I've had some horrendous church experiences at the very hands of church leaders, okay? I've had a church, as I talk about in detail in the opening chapter of my book, Misled. I had a pastor whenever I was in college who tried to make a pass at me. And I was a young Christian, totally could have easily been disillusioned by church leadership, by Christianity as a whole, because here is this male pastor who took me under his wing. I thought because he was interested in grooming me as a minister. Turns out he had some other intentions in mind. I could have been turned off by that. When I was in seminary, I was serving at a church where the pastor got in front of the pulpit and called me the N-word from the pulpit. This is not a lie. I kid you not. I'm not making this stuff up. And then
I'm sorry, but see, with me being a babe in Christ, yeah, I would have lost for a split second. I would have lost it. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Oh my gosh, this man been through it.
Not more recently, several years ago, when I was starting my YouTube channel, I had a pastor who looked me in the eye, a trusted leader, and said, "Hey, nobody's going to be watching your YouTube videos. Nobody's going to be watching your content." Just totally could have easily discouraged me from starting this whole thing. And so many of you watching this video, you've had similar experiences at the hand of church leaders, but let me give you something to consider. Isn't it interesting that we don't apply this one and done type of mentality to any other area of our lives except when it comes to church, right? For many of you, I recently had a conversation with somebody and they were like, "Hey, you know what? The reason why I don't go to church anymore, the reason why I don't really believe in God is because whenever I was young, I had a bad experience in church, or I saw a church leader do this or do that. I had a moral failure. So as a result, I'm done." Okay, you don't apply that type of logic in any other area of your life, right? You may have had some bad experiences at your job, but you don't quit working. You don't quit working for any other.
Hey, exactly what I was talking about. Exactly what I was talking about. A lot of the time it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like we can go through all the issues in life, like other than like worldly stuff, and totally like find a way like to still be able to be motivated, to be motivated to keep doing, worldly things. Not saying that it's bad to work or whatever, but what I'm saying is we would try to find different ways to stay motivated. Like, even if we're hurt or going through something, we always find a way to, let me guess, to get through it. We always find a way to get through it. We always find a way. But when it come down, it seemed like when it come down to Christianity, when it come down to God, it's like, man, people give up easy. That ain't nothing but the devil, bro. The devil wants you to give up easy. He will do whatever it takes to keep you focused in and keep you grounded in on things of this world. Things of this world is something that the devil want us to like stay intact of. But when it come down to Christianity and come down to God, like he want us to give up quick. It's crazy.
Company for the rest of your life. You might have had some bad experiences in relationship, but hopefully you don't say for the rest of your life you're not going to be in a relationship with anyone at all because you had a bad experience. Why don't we do that? It's because we understand the basic principle, which is the fact that just because one member of a large organization might be evil, might have mistreated you, it does not necessarily mean that all members of that organization or all organizations are bad and evil and out to get you, and you shouldn't be a part of them, right? But when it comes to church, for whatever reason, it's one and done. So let me ask you this question. Just because a church leader hurt you or that church leader may have had a moral failure, does that mean that Jesus didn't rise from the dead? I mean, really and truly, because this church leader cheated on his wife, does that mean that Jesus did not rise from the dead? Because when you say you're not a Christian, that's what you're saying no to. You're not saying no to the church. You're saying, hey, I don't believe that Jesus rose from the dead. So is your experience at the church enough to convince you that Jesus didn't rise from the dead? Now, once again, the second group in this religious church type of category would be people in the community. Maybe somebody is hurt you, or maybe they're bigoted, or maybe they are hypocritical is one of the things that people will say. Well, church people are so hypocritical. You're right. They are. That's why they're in church. That's why they need to be in church. What does Jesus say? I did not come to heal those.
Yo, he's right though. He's right. Why you think people are in church in the first place? Yeah, we are hypocritical. That, you know what though? A lot of people are hypocrites. A lot of us are. We just don't think like that. A lot of us are hypocrites. People in the church and people outside church, Christians or non-Christians. A lot of us are hypocritical.
Those who are healthy, but to heal the sick. So once again, are there bigoted and people at your job who are rude, who are arrogant, who are judgmental and hypocritical? Yes, but you still go to work, right? It's the same with the body of Christ. So once again, just because there are bigoted people and people who are hypocritical, does that mean that Jesus didn't really rise from the dead? Okay, here is the second reason why many people who at one time claimed to be a Christian say they are no longer a Christian. And that's what I'll call disappointment with God. And boy, I tell you, this could happen in a plethora of ways. Maybe you had an experience in your life that in your mind, you said, you know what, if God truly loved me, if God was a good God, he would not have allowed this to happen. He would not have allowed me to lose my job. He would not have allowed me to lose this loved one that I miss so dearly. And let me just say this. I want to make sure that I'm clear that I feel your pain. All right. No one should minimize in any way what you have gone through, what you.
And what I was about to say with that is, you know, having a relationship with the Lord, like a lot of people are like, they are scared to like be upset with the Lord. It's okay to be upset with him. You know, like, I think if you're not, then that mean you don't have a relationship with him. A true relationship gonna have feelings. So it's okay to get upset. It's okay. But I don't think, you know, you should get so upset that it's like, oh well, I don't believe in you anymore. It's okay to be upset and to ask questions. It's totally fine. You know, I think he would rather you do that than to just be like, oh, I don't believe. Like, a lot of people just like to just give up for some odd reason. I don't know.
You are going through when it comes to loss, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your finances, or maybe you got married and you were the perfect spouse only to have your spouse cheat on you. And you're saying, God, why would you allow me to save myself from marriage and do all the right things? And yet you allowed this to happen to me. All of those things are valid. But once again, I'm going to ask you the same question. Just because that loved one passed away, does that mean that Jesus did not rise from the dead? Just because the Lord, for whatever reason, allowed you to have a sickness that might lead to death, does that mean that Jesus did not rise from the dead? And what I believe is the number one reason, according to my beliefs, my experiences, as well as several polls that I've looked at in preparing for this video, that many people say, you know what, I'm not a Christian anymore, might surprise you. And that is LGBTQ discrimination. All right. That is trending towards being a significant reason why many people say, you know what, I don't believe in Christianity because I see how the church treats LGBTQ members. So for this, I want to take my time and I want to talk to two different groups. The first group I want to talk to are people who are in the LGBTQ community, who maybe at one point you were raised Christian or you believe Christian and you're no longer that. The second group that I want to talk to are people who are straight Christians who are losing faith in Christianity because they see how other Christians are treating people from the LGBTQ community. So first, to those who are in the LGBTQ community, typically it goes something like this. Maybe at some point you were raised to be a Christian, you grew up in a Christian home, your parents were Christian, and then at some point you realized that you were same-sex attracted and you were trying to maybe suppress those feelings, but you couldn't, and you wanted to be your authentic self. You wanted to be who you believe God has created you to be. But when you tried to do that, you were met with criticism, you were met with people who made you feel less than, they were condescending, they were mean-spirited in nature, and as a result, they told you that you could not be a Christian and be your authentic self, which is same-sex attracted. And so what happened here is that you had to make a choice. Either I'm going to suppress who I believe I'm going to be or who God created me to be, or I'm going to leave this religious system who is trying to oppress me and suppress me so I can be my authentic self. And so you left. Let's go deeper. What is at the core of that decision is that you ultimately want to be your own God. You don't want to submit yourself to any other authority that is going to tell you what you can and cannot do, who you can and cannot be. And so that is really at the root of your decision to not be a Christian. But let me ask you this question once again. Just because you have feelings for the same sex, does that mean that 2,000 some years ago, Jesus didn't really rise from the dead? Does that mean that because you have feelings that you want to express that the church has?
Bro, he nailed it. He nailed it. And about that part, I have a friend who's in that community, and I know a few other people who are in that community, and they are a huge believer though. they are a believer. Then they go to church. That doesn't stop them from believing in God. I feel like for people, like he said, for people who are like that, it's because they feel. I really feel like it's because they feel convicted. That conviction hit hard, and man, that right there, you can either do two things: fix it or dip like they did, like some people did. But my friend, like, he is a firm believer, and he knows that it's wrong. And I hope and pray, that he could figure it out. And I'm sure he want the same thing. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it, and I told him, I'm like, man, bro, like I understand where you're coming from. But keep seeking the Lord, and things will be revealed. But man, that topic right there is that's the main. I feel like that's the main core. Like that whole thing itself is in one nutshell. Why people don't believe and why people leave Christianity. But it's under ultimately one thing I see. People want to be in control. People want to, like he say, people want to be their own God. And that's why a lot of people are falling for these false religions, falling for the new age stuff, falling for witchcraft, falling for all this stuff that's ultimately it's it is all under Satan agenda. So anyway, with that being said, let me know what you know. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'm out.